This is Catherine Morley from the Museum of Russian Icons in Clinton, Massachusetts, bringing you the second in a series of 3 podcasts for the exhibition Exploring Sanctity, Paths to Sainthood Unveiled, which opens at the museum May 7th, 2011. Each podcast will focus on a saint that has special importance in Russian Orthodoxy and culture. Anna of Kashin's path to sainthood took a few twists and turns. Her story highlights the power and importance of the devotion of everyday people in the official making of a saint. June 12, 1909, was a joyous day in the small town of Kashin. Crowds filled the streets to celebrate the ceremonial opening of the relics of Anna of Kashin, a 14th century princess who was much beloved by the community. Her glorification was the first to be celebrated in Russia in 6 years, and only the 5th glorification since the beginning of the century. The Russian Orthodox Church rarely recognized new saints throughout the 18th and 19th centuries, but the reign of Nicholas II ushered in a new wave of the Holy Dead. During the last 2 decades of Romanov rule, there were 7 glorifications, compared with only 2 in the preceding 2 centuries. While the comparative novelty of her glorification contributed to the excitement, the more remarkable aspect was that she had already been glorified once before. Anna of Kashin, Anna Kashinskaya in Russian, was born in 1278 AD. She married Prince Mikhail of Tver in 1294, and they had 4 sons and 1 daughter. Their reign was marked by plague, drought, and oppression by the Tartars, who were nomadic invaders from Mongolia. Her husband was killed by the Tartars in 1318, as were her sons in the following decade. After the Tartar sacking of Tver in 1327, she withdrew to the monastery of the Dormition at Kashin, where she lived a pious life until her death on October 2nd, 1368. She was largely forgotten until 250 years after her death, when her grave began to work miracles. In 1611, Kashin was under siege by Polish and Lithuanian forces, and Joachim, the sacristan of the Dormition Cathedral, was gravely ill. As he slept, Anna appeared to him in a dream, dressed in the great schema, the robes of the highest and most austere rank of religious orders. She complained to him, "People show no respect for my tomb. They ignore it and my memory. Do you not know that I am supplicating this Lord and his mother to deliver the city from the foe, and that you will be spared many hardship and evils?" She then gave him instructions for the care and well-being of her grave, which over centuries of neglect had begun to rise up from beneath the cracked and broken floorboards of the wooden cathedral. She told him to light a candle there, before the icon of Christ not made by hand. When he awoke, Joachim discovered that his sickness was gone, and so told the prior of the cathedral that the grave contained a proven miracle worker. Kashin was indeed delivered from its enemies, and a number of other miracles took place. People began to pray at her grave, and when it was exhumed, her body was found to be uncorrupted. By 1649, the church took more official steps towards her glorification. She was, as they say, elevated to the ranks of the saints, officially, on June 12, 1650. However, this status was short-lived. In 1677, the Orthodox authorities began an investigation into her miracles and found some inconsistencies. As a result, Anna was demoted from sainthood. This sudden change in status is attributed to a rumor that her hand was found making the sign of the cross in the manner of the old ideology, that is, 2 fingers touching instead of 3. Every time the church authorities attempted to move her hand into the proper position, it changed back immediately. In January of 1678, a full council passed all the resolutions of the previous year and instructed the archbishop to collect all of Anna's icons from the diocese and send them to Moscow. Although her physical presence was removed, the decrees of the church could not remove Anna's place in the people's hearts. While the news of her deglorification was met with bitterness and sorrow in Tver diocese, Anna continued to be venerated in and around Kashin. By the turn of the 20th century, a clerical author remarked that the Orthodox faithful of Kashin never lost their faith in Anna. Another contemporary source agreed, saying that while there had not been a single church service performed in her honor for over 200 years, devotion to her was deep and widespread. 230 years have passed from the time of the council's deliberations, but among the residents of the city and the surrounding districts, the memory of the pious princess, the veneration of her sainted remains, and of this place, the site of her deeds, did not cease even for a single day. All the feast days in her honor are celebrated joyously. In every peasant hut her icon stands alongside those of other saints, and it is the rare house in town that does not have an icon of the pious Princess Anna. Parents bless their children with this icon both at weddings and on the sickbed. Anna was not just special to individuals. Stories of her care and interventions for the faithful of Kashin served as a central myth that bound the community together and provided a sense of local identity. Her memory was celebrated on at least 4 different feast days throughout the year, with grand processions that involved laity and clergy alike carrying banners and icons with her likeness. The city was shut down on these days, commercial activity was forbidden, and children were released from schools. Orthodox women in Tver diocese seem to have felt a special spiritual resonance with Anna. They regarded her as a powerful example of a Christian woman, a loving mother and faithful wife who was ready to sacrifice her strength and means for the well-being of those near her. She represented a combination of unconditional love and a resigned endurance to God's will. She was singled out as a patron saint of married life, whose devotees gained from God a quiet and peaceful married life and the blessing of counsel and love between partners. In 1908, after much campaigning by the faithful and much bureaucracy on the part of the Church, Anna of Kashin was reinstated to the ranks of the saints by the Holy Synod, making her the first saint to be re-glorified by the Russian Orthodox Church. The piece in which Anna can be found at the Museum of Russian Icons is Saints Anna of Kashin and Tatiana. It's a small icon that depicts Anna of Kashin standing beside Saint Tatiana, another important Russian saint. Come see Anna and hear the stories of other saints, and learn more about the different forms of sainthood with Exploring Sanctity, Paths to Sainthood Unveiled, at the Museum of Russian Icons in Clinton, Massachusetts, which opens May 7th. This has been Catherine Morley. Thank you for listening. Please stay tuned for our 3rd podcast featuring Saint Tatiana.